So today I'm going to talk about how to get your mentor to like you. Hi guys! I'm back again. My name is Claire and I'm a second year adult nursing student here at the University of Southampton. And this is my new YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about how to get your mentor to like you. So during placement, you'll most likely in most universities will be allocated a mentor, and they'll be the nurse, registered nurse, that will oversee you doing your practice. And they'll be the ones who sign you off on things, they'll be the ones you go to with any questions you have. This will be your go-to nurse. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to get on with your mentor. Okay, so the first one is to introduce yourself properly. This might sound really silly, but just introduce yourself, be super friendly on the first day, act like friendly with them, like they're a friend, just be really nice to them, and this will get you on a really good foot. So in my first 2 placements, I of course was like nice and friendly, but not as much as my 3rd placement, which I just finished. I was really like good friends with my mentor by the end of it, and it actually really helped me in my placement. It encouraged me to do better because I felt so comfortable talking to her and just being friends with her. So by the end of my placement, I was actually invited on their Christmas party night out, which obviously I said no to, and I think they kind of invited me as a bit of like a joke and not that serious, but it still was a really nice gesture. This also encouraged me to do a lot better in placement, like I mentioned, and this is actually how I achieved 4 A+ in this placement, which I obviously was super happy with. Okay, so number 2 is showing willingness to learn. Sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twister. So this is just when you first arrive there, be willing to just get yourself stuck in and be willing to learn anything. This is super important because it shows that you're willing to learn, you're like love learning, you're enthusiastic about learning, you are on placement to learn essentially. So this is a really important point, to take the opportunities placement on a whole to learn. So show your mentor you want to do this, because this will enable her to be able to mark you better on all your skills that you have to achieve, and it will just make her, it will make her want to work with you more, because it will be easier for her if you're willing to learn. Number 3 is similar to the last one, but it's trying to do things unaccompanied. So it's simple things like taking out a cannula. Instead of being like, oh, do you want to come and watch me do it? Just being like, oh yes, no problem, I'll go and do that. And you go off and do it yourself. Instead of like relying on your mentor to direct you, you directing yourself. Not so much in placement 1 and 2, don't worry about that. That's a lot of time to find your feet, get grounded, all things like that. But as you get on to the higher placements, like starting on 3, 4, 5, 6, you need to be doing things with your own initiative, not being told what to do, but planning in your mind. Okay, so this patient had this done now, so I'm going to do this. Patient has high blood pressure, so what am I going to do? Patient has low blood pressure, what am I going to do? Obviously, always report back to your mentor. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying not to do that. But, sorry, there's building work outside. But just take your own initiative and try to do as much as you can by yourself. Number 4 is to take a second thought before asking a question. Now, trust me on this one. I was hesitant to mention this in this video because everyone always says, ask as many questions as you can. And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but sometimes I found mentors previously, I would ask certain questions and they'd be like, you know, you should know that by now. And I'd be like, I do know that. Why did I ask that? So my advice would just be, think about your question before you ask it. Maybe look it up if it doesn't make sense when you look it up. Of course, I ask. And if you're confused about anything, ask. I'm not saying don't ask questions, but just double think your questions before you ask. And number 5 is to call in when you are sick. This might seem like a really simple one to some of you, but I've had placements where other students have been on my ward and they haven't rang in when they're sick, and everyone's worried sick about where they are and they don't know where they are because they haven't rang in. So it's really important when you're sick to ring in the earliest possible time you can. So if you're sick all throughout the night, ring at 4 AM. There's going to be a night staff there. Ring and just let them know, and they'll leave a note for either your mentor or the person you're working with the next day. Also included in this point number 5 is if you need a particular day off for like a wedding or you have something planned within your placement, give your mentor plenty of time so she can schedule that day off for you, instead of just being like, she's saying, oh, see you Wednesday, and you're like, oh, I have a wedding then. You know, giving them plenty of time so she knows that you're taking this seriously, you're really into it, and that you will be off on that day. But if you give your mentor plenty of time, it will work out better. Okay, so I'm editing your video and it looks like you forgot to do something at the end of the video. What's that? I think you know. What do you say? What do you say? Like and subscribe. So that's all, guys. Bye.